All right, y'all. I am back with another petty pop-up. Real heavy on the petty. I'm just here to state my petty opinion. Everything said in this video is alleged and in my opinion and used for educational and entertaining purposes. All right, we are back with another recap of House of the Dragon. This is season 2, episode 5, The Regent. Okay. So we begin this episode mourning the death of Princess Rhaenys. So we start at Driftmark and we find Lord Corlys snugging about his castle, clearly bereft for the loss of his wife, and also Rhaenyra is also grieving the loss of Rhaenys. So this is a nice shot of Dragonstone. Okay, so then we go to King's Landing where we see the small folk struggling for scraps, y'all. Criston Cole and Sir Gawain cart the head of Meleys through the streets, expecting to get congratulations, but the people were kind of shocked because they view the dragons as gods, so they kind of see it as a bad omen. All the people was looking like, what the hell? Sir Criston was confused. He was like, don't they know we won the war? And Sir Gawain was like, if it was a win, they show random people in the crowd saying, I thought the dragons was gods, and they show Hugh standing there saying, no, it's just me. There's poor Meleys. And y'all, the poor rat catcher's still hanging, y'all. We didn't know they gonna cut these damn rat catchers down. All right. So we also find Alicent and Aemon watching the procession as they come into King's Landing. And they were carrying this. I was like, what is that? Is that a coffin? It looked kind of like a coffin to me. So as they bring it in the castle, we see Helena hanging around with her weird self. And it is indeed a coffin. They bring it in and it is King Aegon, who I thought had perished in the battle. Evidently, he did survive. So they bring him in and prepare to work on him while Alicent flutters around asking questions. So all of that armor that he was putting on that got burned to him, stuck to him, y'all, the sounds it was making when they was taking that off, it was like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. I can't even listen to that. So that's what poor King Aegon is going through. So his brother, who is responsible for his condition, he comes in and he just stands there and watches and says, instead of him showing any empathy, because I don't know if this man capable of empathy, but he said, so someone gonna have to rule in his stead, which was quite cold to me. So Alicent, she keep looking at Aemon because I believe that she thinks that he's responsible. She's kind of sensing it, but she doesn't really know because she saw him with his dagger and she was like, what are you doing with that? But, she's just watching him. So she goes to see Criston Cole and she asks him what happened. Criston Cole, he doesn't really give up anything. He says that his grace fought valiantly, and she was basically asking him, okay, so what did Aemon do? What was his part in this? and he was saying he could not say. So he really not giving up nothing. He not telling her anything. Strange for somebody who you was just so hot and heavy with. Now they kind of dismissing you, you know. So now we go to the Black Council meeting where the council is going off. Sir Alfred is on he on one, y'all. He hollering about they killed our largest dragon. You know, Kristen Cole marching around the Crown Lands unchallenged. You know, we still don't have a ground army, you know, waiting on Prince Daemon, King Daemon, whatever you want to call him. And so Rhaenyra gets mad and she's like, Sir Alfred, do you take issue with me? And he basically was saying, you know, my loyalty is proven. She was like, your loyalty might be, but your willingness to give me problems during this time, you know, it's kind of like all the people on the council, like, why are they even having council meetings and nobody has no ideas about how to move forward? Like, they're not giving her any valid tips on what to do, or, you know, they trying to make themselves seem like they're more valuable because they're men. However, all they doing is stating the obvious. You know, we all know that Daemon and Rhaenyra got into an argument and he left. We know that. So stating that as if that is, you know, some valiant advice is crazy. It's like, we already know the predicament that we're in. We know what happened, how it led to it, how it got here. Okay, so what do we do now? How do we move forward? I don't hear anybody saying that. So anyway, the other members of the council, they took their opportunity to get their shots in, you know. One of them was saying the time is right to strike King's Landing because, you know, Vhagar won't be able to recover so quickly after, you know, a battle like this. And Queen Rhaenyra was like, well, I should do it. And they was like, girl, you the queen. That's not acceptable. You're the crown. That's out the question. And Queen Rhaenyra also shut Sir Alfred down when he was saying, you know, it's just that the women are not as suited to battle as men. And Rhaenyra said, we've had a time of peace. You haven't seen no more battles than I've seen. So they get no resolution. So Jace shrugs off and he runs into Baela. He's mad that his mother won't let him have won't let him be more involved. You know, she's already lost one son. She don't want to lose another son. So Jace has decided he's going to do something. He don't care what she say. So Baela was like, where are you going? And he was like, I'm going to Harrenhal. I'm going to see what's up with Daemon. You know, he needs to reaffirm his loyalty and report his standing, what's going on. I have to act. I can't sit around no more. So Baela was like, you think you're going to be able to tame him? You know, when the queen couldn't tame him? And he was like, you know, I have to be seen to work on behalf of my mom. And she's like, well, you're the succession. She's just trying to protect you. And he was like, I don't care. I have to act. So he came up with the idea of the phrase, and he was saying they control the crossing at the Twins. And he was saying, you know, I'll go and secure that crossing. That way, when the Greybeards that Craig and Stark sent, since they are marching south, then we won't have to wait for Daemon to act. They can just be used directly from that point. And Baela understood what he was saying. She nodded. You know, these two are promised to each other. She said she won't like it. Speaking of Rhaenyra, and he said, well, don't tell her till I'm gone. So then we go to Daemon trying to convince the Brackens to pledge fealty or die by dragonfire. He finds that the Brackens are quite the challenge. Lord Blackwood, you know, he's standing there, steady talking trash. He telling Daemon to go and burn them up because they pig-headed and ignorant people. They're not going to listen. And so the people basically say they choose fire. They would rather burn. And what was so funny, like when they turned around and they showed that big old dragon head, the man was just sitting. They was ready. They was ready to die. But Daemon could not believe it. He was outdone. He said, "I can't believe that they was willing to die." He said, "I didn't believe they was gonna be so willing to die." I thought it was a good scene. It was funny that Daemon was outdone. He said, "You know, them the kind of men he need." You know, he came to raise swords, not corpses. He didn't want to burn them up. So he enlisted Lord Blackwood. He said, "You know, why don't you try less fighting and more persuading?" He was like, Lord Blackwood was like, "We've been fighting them an age or more. You know, they are unyielding in battle." And he said, "Well, you know, there are certain things that the crown cannot be seen to do." And so he enlisted him. He said, "You know, show them your worth." So basically, he gave his okay for them to go rape, pillage, kidnap, and whatever to try to bring them to their cause. And Lord Blackwood took him at that, and he said, "Okay, I am your servant." So, we go to the veil. This is the veil, y'all. They call it the Eyrie. I don't know what that means, but this is what they mean when they say that the veil is the Eyrie is a fortress, that it cannot be penetrated because unless they descend on them from the sky, because there's no way to get to it. You know what I mean? There's no way to march an army up there. I thought it was interesting. They showed a lot of different areas, a lot of different locations we get to see in this episode. So Jane Aaron at the Eyrie, she's saying that she's telling Rhaena this is her chamber. Rhaena is reminding her that she promised 15 swords. She said, "Yeah, I promised 15 swords, but for a dragon." And she was like, "Well, she exceeded your request. She sent you 2. She was like, "Girl, I got hunting hounds, more fearsome." Said them dragons still wet from the egg, them little bitty babies. She said, "Well, still they dragons." Said, "You didn't specify the size in your request." She was like, "Girl, you gonna talk crap and you gotta depend on me for to eat and to live. Don't be talking crap. You know, I don't like to feel powerless." And Rhaena said, "I don't either." So anyway, Jane Aaron offered her sympathies for the passing of her grandmother. Okay, next we go back to Dragonstone, where Rhaenyra is complaining to Mysteria about not knowing her place. Like, she was saying that they taught her the name of all the lords and made her father's cupbearer. They didn't teach her how to fight, you know. And she was saying that the path that she walking has never been done before. And Mysteria was telling her, "Look, the things that you can't do, let others do for you." You know, she said that Kristen Cole made a mistake by parading the head of that dragon through the streets because the people see that as a bad omen. She was like, you know, there's more than one way to fight a war. So we see Mysteria sends out Elinda. What is she going to do? She didn't tell her. We didn't see her tell her anything, but I imagine that she is sending her on a mission to try to bring the small folk over to steer them to Rhaenyra's side. What exactly is she going to do? I don't know though. So then we have Baela talking to Rhaenyra. They are reminiscing about Rhaenys, and Rhaenyra was saying that she knows that Rhaenys didn't always like her, but what she gave her in the end, she's grateful. They talked about the night that she claimed Meleys, and Rhaenyra said that she was fierce, and she was that. Rhaenys was fierce. So she gave her the hand of the queen pen to give to Lord Corlys, who is her grandsire. And, they had a little moment reminiscing about Rhaenys. Okay. So next we get to Daemon back at Harrenhal. Daemon is dreaming about sleeping with his mama. I was like, yeah, this dude here is really screwed up in the head. And she was saying things that he already believes himself. Like she was saying, like, if only you had been born first. She was like, Viserys has a big heart, but you're more suited to the crown. And all the things that he believes himself to be, she was saying. And, we know that this is a dream. So I love how they have been marrying the scenes. So they go from him touching her and getting blood on his hands and looking at his hands and trying to figure out where the blood comes from. And then he hears Sir Simon's voice asking him, is the duck not to your liking? And he was like, what? What duck? And he looks back down at his plate where he sees the food. So it's really, really cute, really good camera tricks how they are marrying the scenes together. So Daemon was like, oh no, I'm not hungry. Y'all can get this away from me. I'm seeing things. I don't know what's going on. Y'all can get this food away from me. One of the sons was saying, I prefer the duck myself. Daemon was like, I'm not eating that. We have Miss Alice slinking in the background. I think she's kind of responsible for the visions that he's seeing. So anyway, he asked about the progress on the castle, and Sir Simon was giving him an update, and he was telling him to source the meat and the wood, and Sir Simon was like, okay, but who's gonna pay for it? That Larys took all the money, with him to King's Landing, and he was basically telling Daemon to ask the queen, and he was like, no, Harrenhal is my command. I will guarantee the payment. And before he walked off, he was telling Sir Simon, you should call me king. And Sir Simon was like, but you're the prince. You're the king consort. Daemon is imagining himself as the ruler. So that's why he is trying to goad people into calling him king. And it's not really going very well. But he's trying it anyway. So next we have the Green Council meeting. After the Grand Maester informs Alicent about Aegon's condition, they discover that they are going to need a regent, someone to rule in place of Aegon until he recovers, if he recovers. So they have a council meeting where Alicent throws her hat in the game, saying that she's capable and she's done it before, but the entire council nominates Aemon to succeed Aegon because they're all like very chauvinistic, especially during this time period. Even her lover, Kristen Cole, everybody, even her, I don't know what her relationship we could call was with Larry, so he did never rub their feet. But anyway, they was all trying to use her for something, but they don't see her as a ruler. She's not royalty. She's not in the succession. She doesn't have royal blood. I just don't know why she thinks that she should rule anyway. She thinks that she's on the same level with Rhaenyra because she hung out with Rhaenyra, which is how social climbers are. Her father taught her whole life how to hang around the right people, but that doesn't make you the same as them. Larys was saying they need to show strength. So, like, in response to Rhaenyra raising the claim, we're gonna raise our own woman. Like, no, we're not about to do that. So everybody says Aemon is the next in line. So Aemon takes his little joy in that, and he clocks in and basically takes over the meeting. Everybody gets to talking. Allison sits there and looks like she's defeated, and because she is. So imagine usurping the crown, and then you get usurped right on out your position. So anyway, while they're talking, they're saying that the gates ought to be closed. Aemon is saying the gates ought to be closed and nobody's to leave without permission, because they was telling them about the people are kind of disgruntled and there's no food, not enough food. And Aemon also ordered them to cut down the rat catchers. I say, golly, about time somebody cut down them damn rat catchers. So they cut to Hugh and his wife. His wife was talking about there's no food and that, neighbors are stealing from each other, and they need to leave. And Hugh was saying he's still trying to hold on to Aegon's promises, and she was like, you can stay and wait for empty promises, but maybe you'll be able to feed that to the ghosts, but it's time to get out of King's Landing. So they show the rat catchers getting cut down. The poor dog was still there with his little own. I tell you what, I tell people all the time, you want somebody to be faithful to you, get you a dog, not a person, not a man, no woman. If you want somebody to be faithful, honey, get you a dog. That poor little dog is still grieving his little master. So after the council meeting, Allison goes to find Kristen Cole, and she was like, yeah, I knew you'd be here. She was basically saying, I knew you'd be here kissing ass. That's how I took it anyway. But she was like, yeah, I knew you'd be here, promptly seeing to, his demands. But, so Kristen Cole says, look, Aemon is the next in line. And, Allison says, you know what he is now. You know what he has somehow become. What is she talking about, y'all? Why does she keep saying that about him? What is it that he's somehow become? I don't know. I'm trying to figure that one out. So she tells Kristen Cole, so has your loyalty faded? Or does it flee at sunrise like a moth? I thought that was a dope line. So anyway, Kristen Cole was saying that, we've given the war to the dragons. A dragon rider should lead us. Allison was still trying to fight for her cause, but he wasn't hearing it. They are very chauvinistic, and they not gonna be led by a woman, especially not her with no royal blood or right to the throne. Anyway, he was like, what we must do now is terrible. We've given the war to the dragons. Like, what are you gonna do? Preside over it? And she was like, look, I didn't give you. She said, I didn't ask to be spared, and I didn't give you the right to speak my name. So the small folk try to leave the city, and of course they're stopped by the King's Guard. So everybody in King's Landing is just gruntled, y'all. So next we go to the twins, where we see the phrase. This is like an aerial view of the twins with Prince Jace's dragon waiting outside while he speaks to the phrase. And basically the phrase are greedy, and they want to be rewarded for granting that crossing, and they want to be rewarded with Harrenhal. And Jace was saying, well, for that they were saying, what do you think? What will Rhaenyra say? She's like, for that she'll want more than your crossing. She'll want bent knees. They must not know the condition of Harrenhal, right? Like, why do they want Harrenhal? Because Harrenhal is in bad shape right now. Okay, so anyway, we go back to Harrenhal, where Daemon is attempting to help repair the castle. He was saying, never let it be said that he didn't, raise up his shirt and help. In his talking with Alice, she says that, she has been hearing some things on the wind, and he was like, oh, so there's news? And she was like, no, what I hear in the wind. And I hear the crime, I hear the cries of the anguish of, and he was like, she was like, she hearing about the crimes against the innocent, and you know, what any upright man would repudiate. And Daemon said, surely you have not mistaken me for an upright man. And Daemon's like, basically, I'm not right. So she said, is that the kind of army you would raise? People who hate you, like, is that how you gonna go about this? And Daemon was like, that fool Aegon is not liable he's not liable to make it, And if Aemon One Eye rules, the realm will suffer. And she was like, well, I'm sure your tactics have been approved by the queen. So Daemon lets her know that, she can't succeed. They won't be led by her. The people that she's trying to rule will not be led by her. And, even if I willed it to be so, she come with me when I take over King's Land, and we can rule side by side, king and queen. But they're gonna take their leadership from a man. They look to a man for strength, in other words. So he gets through talking to Alice. Sir Simon walks up to tell Daemon that the Brackens have pledged their banners to his cause. They have been outdone by the Blackwoods, and Daemon is glad to hear it, and he tells him to call Sir William so that he can congratulate him. They're gonna entertain them because they have completed their task. All right. So we go back to Driftmark, where we have Baela speaking to Lord Corlys. He's still sulking, about the loss of Rhaenys, which is understandable, but he's just very, very negative. And Baela was saying that she wished she had seen the castle in its glory days, and she tells him that Rhaenyra wishes to name him Hand. And he was like, hadn't she asked enough of my house? Baela said it's a sign of her great esteem. Corlys said it's or is she trying to compensate me for my loss? Baela got like a little, irritated with him, and she was like, well, pledge to King's Landing then, I'm sure they'll be glad to have you. Lord Corlys was like, well, I'd rather sell and go get lost. And she was like, well, you already did that at great cost to yourself and your family. Rhaenys was not only your wife, she wasn't just a thing to be taken from you. She was a Targaryen princess. And she went the routes west of her own will. She perished, she died how she wished to die, in Dragonfire. How her mother chose and how she'll choose too. She said that I grieve her, but I carry her with me. And I will see Rhaenyra on the throne as Rhaenys wished, as she should have been. And she's like, that's what I'm going to do what you see fit. So Lord Corlys was like, granddaughter, I will make you my heir. And she was like, no, I'm blood and fire. Driftmark must pass the salt and sea. So this scene was a really good scene. Not so much what it looked like, but for what they were saying. Baela, I really like the character of Baela, and I really like the progression of the character development. Like, it's been really, really good. So Baela goes off. Then we have Rhaenyra meeting with Sir Alfred. She is telling him that maybe he's right, that she was wrong to wait on Daemon. So she's sending him to Harrenhal. She's asking him to go to Harrenhal to get an update and find out what's going on with Daemon. And he was like, are you removing me from your council? Because he know he been getting on the nerves. And she was like, look, I ain't gonna deny you been getting on my nerves. But I know you're faithful. And we can't really challenge King's Landing without the Riverlands. So I'm not going to waste my time sending no raven for Daemon to ignore. I'm going to send you to reason with him and find out, what his intentions are. And he was like, what you mean his intention? She was like, well, do he mean to raise a host for me or for himself? He was like, he wouldn't do that. She was like, do you know Daemon? So before he left, he asked her, did she have a message for him? And she was like, yeah, tell him I would like to finish our last conversation. So we go back to Harrenhal, where Daemon hears someone outside his door. It's Sir Simon, of course. Sir Simon lets him know that the River Lords want an audience with him. So Daemon is pissed that they woke him up, that they had the audacity to wake him up. And he tells them they basically don't have no manners. Like, why y'all think y'all can raise a king from his bed? The River Lords were hot, y'all. They was 38 hot. They said, they was talking about the barbarity that was unleashed on the Brackens, and that, he didn't have no common decency, and they was carrying your banner. So basically, we know you the one who sent them. And one of the lords said, "What should we expect from a man who ordered the slaughter of a child in his mother's arms?" So Daemon was mad. Then he was like, "Well, that's a lie, and I will have the man who told it brought before me." The Lord said, "Well, shit, that's half the kingdom." And everybody know you did that. It's interesting that he went out on a limb and he did what he wanted to do, but now he won't accept it. One of the lords told him, "Look, dragon or not, this is the Riverlands are sacred. They watched over by the old gods and the new. And whether you got a dragon or not, we're not gonna raise our banners for no tyrant." So then they show Daemon by the fireplace reflecting, what they were saying, because he has gone all about this all wrong, but that's Daemon for you. A lot of times you think you know what you're doing, but you really, really don't. So they showed Daemon by the fireplace, and I thought it was cute how they also show Rhaenyra doing the exact same thing. This is what I'm saying about how they're marrying the scenes. I really, really like that. So next we find Elinda, who has made it to her destination in King's Landing. Yeah, what is she there to do? I really would like to know, what is she there to do? So they show Corlys sulking still, thinking about contemplating, is he gonna be the hand of the king, queen? They go back to King's Landing and show Aemon in the throne room, stalking the throne, and Helena walks in and asks him, "So was it worth the price?" Because she know that he's responsible for Aegon being in the condition that he's in, whether he says it or not. Helena's a little weird. So then they go to King Aegon's side, where Alicent is keeping watch. He's struggling to breathe, poor thing. She gets up to leave, and as she walks out, he says, "Mummy." So he knew she was there. So we go back to Dragonstone, where we have Jace has returned from the twins, and Rhaenyra is kind of, not upset, but probably upset that she can't really do much to help. So she asks him what was the mood at the twins, and he says, she said, "Well, did your lordship quibble?" He said that he wants Harrenhal at war's end, assuming, she was telling him that she was proud of him, and he was like, "Well, why do you look so angry?" Like I said, she's mad that she's having to send other people to do her bidding and be failed in her name, and she wants to help. She wants to fight. She's worried about him flying in front of Aegon like Luke did, and she wants to fight for her birthright. And she was saying, "I need dragons." And Jay said, "We don't have no dearth of dragons. That means we don't have no lack of dragons. We need dragon riders." And so Jace brings up Rhaena, and Rhaenyra was like, "No, she almost got killed trying to claim a dragon. We're not gonna risk that again. So they get this idea that, there are those who are married into other houses, and they come up with this idea about maybe they can source members of their family who have married into other houses that may have enough dragon blood to claim a dragon, because they have Vermithor and Silverwing, who are in the dragon pits beneath them, but they just don't have anybody to ride them. And Rhaenyra was like, if I had, dragon riders for those, nobody could, come against me. And so as they're thinking about it, Rhaenyra says, yeah, that's a mad thought. She was like, there must be records of our line here. And because she's been going through the history books, and I think she's been trying to find a way to respond without violence. And that's not to be, listen, if it's war, wars are bloody. It's no way you're going to have a war and not shed any blood. But anyway, they contemplating somebody else from their line being able to claim a dragon. Okay, that is the end of that one. What did y'all think? This was a good episode. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of setting up, like they're setting up the next one. Did y'all have any favorite scenes? I like the scene with Baela and Lord Corlys. Not like I said, not so much for what it looked like, but for what she was saying. And I like the scene where the Brackens refused Daemon. That was a good scene. So anyway, y'all, it seems like they're really, really setting up the next episodes. I think we only get 8 episodes this season. I have really been enjoying like the cinematography, which I know, being a Game of Thrones fan, that this show has a really, really big budget. And I mean, they have done a really good job with the casting and everything. So I'm just really enjoying it, y'all. So y'all get down in the comments. Let me know, did I miss anything? Did anybody else have a favorite scene or anything that I didn't speak about in this episode? So y'all get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. And until the next time, peace.